Hey all, in today's video we'll be discussing about cloud security infrastructure as a code, so which is very common these days. So first let us understand why do we need infrastructure as a code, right? So let's say we have different clouds. We can also call it as CSP, cloud service providers like AWS, and then we have Azure, right? Along with that we have GCP. So what happens, right? In general, say if I need any server, right? Example like EC2 instance, right? And maybe for storage, we can create a S3 bucket, right? So many other right services we have within the cloud platforms. So we wanted to create a one resource. Okay. So what we can do, right? We can simply go and then sign up within AWS console, right? So and then try to just create a resource within EC2 instance, right? So it is that easy. We don't need anything. If it is one or two cases where you can just create a server, right? So now what if, let's say, for example, within AWS, I need almost, right, maybe 10 servers. Okay, so what we have to do in such cases, it will be difficult, right? 10 servers or storage related databases. We do have like networking related managing would be a little difficult, right? We can do it manually, but yeah, if we need in bulk, so that would be very difficult. So in such cases, to solve this issue, so we have something called as CloudFormation within AWS. But these are cloud native. Let's say, for example, for AWS, we need to use CloudFormation, and again for Azure, we need to use Bicep, right? And then we have right a deployment manager within the GCP. What if we are using multiple cloud resources and we need to create a bulk servers like let's say for example we need to create some 10 or maybe 100 servers, right, along with the networking part. Okay, and then along with that, you need to create a multiple databases. So that is where we have right IaC tools in the market. The commonly used one, like we can say, which is Terraform, right? Mostly people use it. Apart from that, we have Pulumi, and then right Ansible, and uh, Puppet, right? So we do share for all these things we have. So, different platforms we have. So now we are talking about an security part. So basically what this does is like IaC. So where we would be defining within the template, the Terraform, right? So maybe we can also look at the example. Let's say, for example, okay, I think I already have in a GitHub, right? This is purposefully built, right? Vulnerable Terraform files we have. When I say vulnerable, it is having security issues, as you can see. Let's say EC2 instance. So this is how the Terraform file would look like, where we would define the resource, right? And what type of instance it is, and VPC, where it is required, right? And the locations. We'll be defining each and everything likewise. Okay, so now we have something called as Terragoat. So purpose of Terragoat is like it is vulnerable. When I say vulnerable, it has got the security issues by default, as we are learning today, the cloud security. And as part of that, we'll be learning infrastructure as a code security, right? So now we would be writing a lot of resources within the Terraform file, scaling up, right? So manually, we don't have to scale, it will automatically automate when we need multiple servers, networking, the configuration, the infrastructure we are trying to automate in simple terms. So now again, we have to take care of the security here. So that is the biggest challenge. So what happens, right? We have something called as tool, which is Checkov, right, by the Prisma Cloud. Right, Prisma Cloud is again a right Palo Alto Prisma Cloud. So it is a CSPM tool, cloud security posture management tool, so which will take care the security across multi clouds if we integrate it with it, right? So Checker is one of a tool which will help us to scan the security issues within the Terraform. Okay, so this is the installation, right? How you can do, you can just pip install Checker. Okay, so that it's that simple. So I have my Kali Linux machine up and running, so right. And then I have already installed the Terragoat, which has got vulnerable, Terraform files, as you can see. And these are the different files. Or maybe if I can go back and show, see now if I do ls, and I have multi clouds like Ali Cloud, right? And then AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle. So now we are trying with AWS, right? So Yeah. So as we can see, this is the thing we have. So let me just clear this up and then I'll say ls. So we can pick any of our Terraform file. So now db app, right? .tf is like Terraform extension. Now we have EC2 instance, right? ECR, the container related, and EK is related, right? ELB load balancer related, and IAM, right? KMS, Lambda, likewise S3 buckets we have. So now we have a Terraform file. Within the Terraform file where the infrastructure is already defined. So now we have to scan this. Okay. So now I will just go ahead and check my, you know, Checkov version, right? Checkov hyphen version. Let's see. So as you can see, I have 3.2.457, which is the current version. So how to use the particular one? Maybe you can just give Checkov hyphen help and it will show you all the files. So now let me scan, right? Checkov. Okay. Hyphen F, which is nothing but the file we are right defining. If you want, you can give hyphen D, the directories you can define it. So I'm scanning the EC2 instance related, and then right, let me hit enter. So it will scan the EC2 instance Terraform file, and which will highlight all the security within this, what are the misconfigurations we have done so far. So as you can see, right, it says pass checks 0, fail checks 2, and skip nothing. So you can go and check, like, this is like one of it says, okay, ensure that S3 bucket has cross region, replication enabled. Okay, this is one of issue, and ensure that S3 buckets are encrypted within, right? KMS by default. The encryption is lacking here, right? And then again, the similar way for the EC2 instance, okay? And then, yeah, configuration part. So basically, right, they are following a standard of CIS benchmarks at least, and then CloudFormation standards, whatever the security standards. So likewise, so we all can scan for the security issues within the Terraform, right? Within our infrastructure. So this will prevent us from the cloud threats. What are the cloud threats, right? It could be, for example, right? So if it is not configured properly, right? Terraform. So what happens? You might open, right? You might end up opening sensitive ports like port 22, right? Or maybe different ports towards it, and then also S3 buckets, okay, that you will leave it publicly, okay, where attacker can catch hold of it, and then IAM, right, misconfiguration over there, and EC2 instance, right, which has got no proper or strong keys or authentication towards it while logging, and there is no MFA enabled. So basically, I mean, MFA is a different part, but yeah, at least the misconfigurations part, which will prevent if we are scanning through the infrastructure, I mean, Terraform files. This is one way to do this, or we do have tools like Snyk, so that will scan the Terraform files as well. So, but it depends. Not every organization will have. Yeah, right. So if you are okay, or maybe if your organization is okay with the open source tools, you can utilize Checkov and scan for infrastructure as a code and prevent for the security issues. All right. So, or maybe if your organization is okay with any of our paid commercial tools, you can go with Snyk is one of a good resource. Apart from that, you do have multiple tools in the market. So yeah, you can just go ahead and check. Right. So yeah, this is all about the infrastructure as a code, right? So we would be continuing to upload more videos like this in different areas, which includes security, DevSecOps, and threat modeling. Right? We'll talk about application security, which has SaaS, DaaS, SCA, and AI security, pen testing as well. So stay tuned and just subscribe to our channel. So right, we'll be updating with the latest videos. Thank you. Yeah.